Welcome to Sykes Peak. Join us as we speak with experts, share inspiring stories, and provide actionable advice to help you reach your psychological peak. So get ready to embark on a journey of self discovery, growth, and empowerment. We're glad that we can come to you today and share with you some of the things that myself, Keith Roach, and
Chavez.
And we want to share with you some things. You know, you just sounded like one of those Saturday Night Live. This is Sean Van. Thank you.
Listen, at my work, it's funny. I am not called just by one name.
Right.
Everyone knows me as Sean Van. It's the whole name together. It's now a joke. It's a running joke.
That's great. That's people always ask me, what's the D stand for? Doctor. What do you so so it's like Dr. D. Keith Roach and Dr. Keith Roach.
Yeah.
But no, we've been talking about some things that I think are important in people's lives. And that has to do with self. And we've discussed a little bit about self-esteem and the value that you place on yourself.
Myself and yourself.
Right. And then we talked about self-concept, and which is the view that you have of yourself. Now, if it's just concept, without self in front of us, what other people see, but that you do have something that you portray to other people, and then you have something that you recognize about your own self. And so the topic that we've chosen for today is self-image. And that is something that, Sean, I'm going to let you run with for a little bit.
So, again, self-image, I think, man, we live in a world right now where technology allows us to portray ourselves, not just in how we dress, not just in our style, and,
Well, you can do an avatar.
You can
make yourself look something totally
completely create yourself into a work of fiction, and completely lose any sense of honesty, genuineness about you. But I also think we live at a time where there is so much fabrication, so much false imagery, that people are redesigning themselves to become more authentic. That has become the more popular attraction.
But you want to, a person wants to present themselves well.
They do.
You think? For the most part. You don't want to walk into a situation all disheveled and unkempt and all those things, because those become criteria for a psychological disorder, So you do want to present yourself, but you don't walk around in rollers and, hair roller. And do they still wear hair rollers and stuff nowadays? Or, pajamas and, and those slides, those house shoe slides and stuff, that's things you see at Walmart, but, but
I've seen the pajama gangs at schools, and, the kids that just all wear their PJs to school.
In high school?
Yeah, they all hang out together, and they're just like pajama. They're like a gang. They just all wear
sleeping bags.
Yeah, and might as well.
Just
listen, but
chill out in the cafeteria.
I told students this before. If you what are pajamas designed for? But I said, well, you sleep in them. Okay, so if you're coming to school wearing clothes that you're supposed to sleep in, what do you think your brain is thinking it's supposed to do when it goes to school? Go to sleep. I'm like, well, you think that's why maybe you're having a hard time staying awake?
It's either that or you're staying up all night playing video games.
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
The same thing happens in college. Kids come in, just barely wearing shorts, so,
But when it's when it's ongoing, like you're saying, when it's an ongoing, almost intentional by design, intentionally dressing down, intentionally being unkempt, it does reflect a psychological disorder, or can develop a psychological
it's rebellion.
Disorder.
Yeah.
It is.
It's when I was a kid, getting an earring.
Yeah.
You were a rebel.
Oh yeah.
You put it in the wrong ear, you got beat up. But if then it was tattoos.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I mean, it's almost an addiction for some people. They just keep getting tatted and tatted and tatted. Nothing against tattoos. I'm not saying that, but it is a sign of rebellion.
It is.
Because society says you don't do things like that to your body, and when you do, and people see it, they have a response to it, and I don't think that people get tattoos are, regret it. There might be some that do. And there might be some tattoos that you regret getting. There might be some tattoos that you don't remember getting.
Yeah.
And the, which let's say it's what happened to my son, but, no, he knew. But it's a symbol. It's just like people getting the nose pierced or the eyebrow pierced or, different things. Those are just symbols of, I'm going against what everybody else does, which is they don't have any tattoos or they don't have any piercings or they don't, but everybody I would say that has a tattoo says that, would be saying that you probably want to have a tattoo to those that don't have tattoos.
There's the difference. It's when it's intentionally designed. Right. I intentionally had long hair and cut it all off. I did that intentionally because I was donating to Lux of Love.
Right.
However, before I did the donations, there was just a rebellion. There was just the long hair to be into, soldiers coming back from war grow their hair and their beards out.
Right.
Really, really long.
Right.
Because it's an act of independence. It's an act of I'm an individual. You're not going to tell me how to style myself.
Anymore. Right.
And so because
it's
for
rebellion.
so long
they had to shave it. And
it's rebellion. Ear piercings or men are, seen as rebellious, but piercings were originally a sign of slavery. And so it's, it's rebellion, slaves rebel. That's what they do. But, I went for a long time dressing down and I did it. And I did it intentionally. I did it intentionally because I recognize, and this kind of plays again back to self-esteem and self-confidence that self-concept we've been talking about, the building from one into another. And now we're at image and there have been times in my life where I've dressed down out of a lower sense of self-worth or a lower sense of self-concept. But when I did it, I recognized maybe a problem with arrogance. Maybe had a problem with arrogance, a false sense of self. And I did it for a very long time where I dressed down. Now, to intentionally try to humble myself. What I learned in that process, though, is that it's so defeating. It's crushing. Maybe to go through and see how people respond to you, and because then it affects that worth again. It reinforces the negativity and the lower levels. And so, in an attempt to humble myself, I may have gone too far, but it was. I would also say simultaneously at that time, I didn't have as much in my life that was stable. And so I didn't have a need to dress well. I didn't have a reason, person, a job, a thing to try to impress. And so, again, we talked about shying away from leadership and shying away from responsibility. I think that sometimes people dress maybe down or present themselves with a lower self-image because they don't want to step up into a higher level of responsibility and a higher level of leadership in life. And if I could just keep myself here, it's fine if people treat me poorly. I'd rather be here than have to do more for me.
Right. The level of expectation goes up.
Right.
If the more you put into the way you present yourself.
Well, it's more to take care of.
Right.
I can hardly keep myself afloat emotionally in every day. you want me to buy dress shirts? Now I got to iron them. You know, it's like,
how many people out there feeling the same way that you just said?
Yeah.
I have a hard time just keeping up myself.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't want a nice car. If I had a nice car, I have to keep it nice.
right.
You know, I want a beater so I can like keep trashing it and no one's going to care because it's beat up anyways.
Yeah.
You know, but the second I get a nice car, now I've got to treat it well. Well, it's the same with ourselves. If I have to start presenting myself nicely, well, now I've got to work on the interior and keep myself clean, you know, like, so
But there's nothing wrong.
there's
with-
nothing wrong with
well,
it. It's so
see,
good.
I've
It's so
al-
good being on the other side of
see,
it.
I come from, I guess, from an environment. You know, my dad used to say, "You never get a second chance at making a first impression."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
My-
and so you know, when I go into a new environment or whatever where I'm meeting new people, I need to be dressed, or I need to present myself like the host was, you know, how they're going to be dressed, or how, you know,
Right.
because the question always comes up, is this dress affair or is this a casual affair? And when we do things, we'll say dress is casual. We'll put that down at the bottom or whatever, so people know that, you know, you don't have to come in a shirt and tie and a ball gown, you know. But
Right.
if we say dress is formal, then the expectation would be that. But the self-image, bringing it back to how you see yourself. I want to present myself as well taken care of. I don't shave on Saturdays. Well, you didn't shave either. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
rarely shave.
you know, but I mean, it's my Saturday. That's something
Yeah.
that I claim and I keep, and I
Yes.
don't have to do anything
Sure.
unless we're going to, you know,
An event or something,
yeah,
right.
something like that, and then I take care of things. But for the most part, I am, you know, the way that I present myself is how I feel about myself,
Right.
or what I think about myself, or and I mean, I'm like everybody else. I want to be liked by people.
Right.
I mean, you know, who out there wants to be disliked by people? Nobody's been taught that.
This
you know.
well, that's the alternative. You know, like I don't care if people like me, or I don't care if people respect me. Well, the opposite is then you're accepting the fact that you want people to disrespect you. You're accepting the fact that you want people to not like you.
Well, and somebody will say, well, that's their problem.
But then you have to deal with that. You have to be unlikable and not be spiteful about it. You have to be accepting to say, it's fine if people don't like me, but I'm still going to be pleasant and kind and generous. And right. Can you
So-
do that? Because if not, then why accept that? I've also learned this. This is something I've also learned. If you recognize, if you can be honest enough and recognize that you're not in the position in life that you want to be in, don't dress like how you feel. Dress how you want to feel. Dress how you want to be.
Yeah, people would be dressing in board shorts and sun shirts, you know, with and you know, so that because they want to be on the beach, you know. So
Well,
I mean,
but I guess what I mean is this. I recognize this more with women.
right?
Naturally, I think do this more than men. That they will dress when they're not feeling their best. They'll dress better than they are feeling to then have a better day because it causes when they dress well, it makes them feel good about
Do
themselves.
you comment on how a woman looks?
When it's above grade.
In other words, when they've dressed nice,
When
I
they
mean,
put effort
I
in.
mean,
I don't lie. I don't lie. I won't lie. I won't say you look beautiful when they haven't done anything to themselves that
Right.
morning, and you can tell. And it's like okay, but when they've actually applied effort, and it's like okay, I can see that you have applied effort to this. That yeah, I'm gonna
And
comment.
see, this is listen, our listeners. This is totally our opinions. This is not. And I got to do a disclaimer here. This is not,
You're gonna
you know,
need to do a lot
anybody.
of these.
Yes, I mean, and there's probably a lot of people out there that go, you two are full of it, which we know that we
Yeah,
recognize that, but we also
Yeah.
recognize that, you know, for the most part, we speak for a lot of people, and a lot of men, especially. But I'm real cautious
Right.
to say something to a woman, because I've been burned a couple of times.
Several.
I have a couple of times I have said, "When are you expecting?"
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
not,
No.
they're not
No.
pregnant, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a heart rate.
Oh, yeah.
That's a heartbreaker right
Yeah.
there, buddy. And that's my foot in my mouth and twisting it around. That's just
Right.
I feel
Right.
terrible when
Right.
and
Well, it's like telling someone when they get new glasses, you look so much smarter. It's like, that doesn't, wait, these are just for reading. Would I take them off? Do I like dumb? Like, and look, and I put my foot in my mouth a lot with my honest opinions, and I recognize that. But I think the difference
I'm
is
cautious. I want to say this. I'm cautious because we live in a world of litigation. We live in a world of,
yeah,
uh, somewhat of a where people are afraid to make those statements because it turns into a hostile environment,
I don't know.
or it's you're hitting on somebody.
Well, I don't know if I don't know that I would be. I don't know if I'm braver or just more of an idiot to think that to just say what's on my mind all the time without
Yeah.
without any holding back. But
Absolutely.
I don't know. I
Killing
don't
our producer.
I don't think I hold back as much. I think I will just put stuff out there, and I have several times in life dealt with consequences for it. But
Well, so bringing it back to self-image. I mean, we're recognizing that people are going to present themselves to other people based on how they feel about themselves.
or want to be presented.
Right. So,
I may not feel professional. I do not feel comfortable wearing professional clothing. I don't. It irritates me.
well, you're in a different environment.
But if I could, I've learned that by wearing it, I get more comfortable with it over time.
Right.
And so I'm stretching my wings. I'm trying to create a new version of myself.
I know that when I started my counseling practice way back in the day, I wore a shirt and tie, coat and tie.
Yeah.
I mean, I just because I had a young looking face, I had a young stature,
Needed
whatever.
people to take you seriously.
I needed people
Yeah.
to take me seriously.
Yes.
And just having a mustache did not do it.
Absolutely.
So, over time, I've gotten more relaxed.
Right.
Because I went to a job interview one time wearing a denim work shirt.
Right.
And I told him, I said, what you see is what you get. Because I'd been traveling, for about 12 hours too. But, basically, I didn't change a whole lot from that. But, there's appropriate dress for different situations.
I don't think you would want to walk into a business meeting dressed like a clown.
Right.
I think clowns belong in circuses.
Have you seen my Zoom picture? When you're faced, if you're not on the, it goes to a picture that you choose. Mine's a clown picture. I'm wearing the red wig, and it was from my second grade Sunday school class.
Okay.
And they were putting hats on me and stuff, and we were taking pictures, and I thought this is perfect, So, because people remember me.
Oh,
this is
yeah.
This is when I do Zoom meetings with the conferences I go to for presidents of colleges and stuff like that. So I just keep that picture, because oh yeah, I know you. You're the clown guy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the clown guy.
Right.
So, but yeah, you don't want to walk into a job interview with a unless you're interviewing for a client.
Fine.
Yeah. So So
I think to some degree this plays into kind of the idea of treating other people how you want to be treated, but it's present yourself to the way that you want to be viewed and accepted by others. If you, as much as you can, again, honest and authentic and real to who you are. But I think it all goes back to that self-esteem that builds into that self-concept, that builds into your self-image. It's really hard to present yourself in a false way. Now, you can take one small step in a direction of being more professional than you might normally be, or but
I don't think that's being dishonest with yourself. We talked about honesty.
But
is one of the ways to build self-concept.
But con men can seriously dress outside of themselves.
Well, and that's absolutely, and that's the thing that we have to do is not we're conning our way into a situation, but we are presenting ourselves something that's probably different than what we think.
Right.
What we see our own image.
Right.
I mean, because I would have, I had clients that dealt with bulimia and anorexia and things like that. And so what I would do is I would give them a roll of that craft paper, and then I would give it to them and I would say, go home, have your husband trace your body on this. And then what I would do is I would have them trace how they, lay it out flat and trace how they thought that they looked.
Right.
Okay. And then I would say, okay, you lay down on the piece of paper and let your husband trace your body frame on that piece. And then I said, then you have your husband roll it up. You don't look at it, and then we'll look at it when you come in here. And then I put it up on the wall and put it up on the door. And when it unrolls, it's the presentation of how they thought they looked, the image that they had, and how they really look. And it's amazing to see what the response is. No, that can't be.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember the title of the book, but a therapist was with a client, similar experience, and challenged them, said, I'd bet that my thighs are twice the size around as yours. They didn't believe him. Mm-hmm. I got a measuring tape and measured them out. It was 2+.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, there's a trick. There's something you're doing. Yeah. It's like, no. Yeah. Like you measure, you do. Like they couldn't believe it.
Right.
But yeah.
But see, and that's the thing is I think, like you said, it goes back your self-esteem and how you develop your self-esteem. And we said, I believe we talked about it being something that is developed early on in your life. And then as you get older, then you develop how you think about your self-esteem and how you value yourself. And then the self-concept and the honesty that you have to have with yourself and recognizing what your strengths and weaknesses are. And then when we get to self-image, it's, recognizing that, I've got to go through my wardrobe. I've got to go through, how I look and what I'm portraying. You go through your wardrobe and you see everything's black. Well, black is slimming and all that kind of stuff, but it's also just this side of goth, kind of approach, that you figure out who you are, put some color in your life.
I have a friend who for a while when I was working with her would always wear monochromatic tones.
Right.
And I eventually I caught on and I was just like, I don't like, what's the deal? So one day I went in, I was like, you're like Amish or something? She's what? I was like, well, you represent pretty good because you are nothing. Like if I put you on a black and white TV, I wouldn't have guessed.
And they go to and get the paint strip, from and they and all their colors are off of that paint strip.
The wildest thing, she had never. I don't think she even recognized it, that it was that way. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're right. Now I see her. She wears color all the time.
Yeah.
And then she'll point it out to me. Be like, look, Sean, I'm wearing color.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important for an individual.
Yeah.
To, and once again, how you present yourself to other people. I think there's a part that has to do with confidence. And I think that's what our next episode is going to be about.
Right.
So
Right.
we're thankful that you all were listening today. And if you have any question, you'll be able to go to a website and we'll give you that at a later date. So thank you. Have a great day. And we'll talk to you next time.